Monster energy drinks are everywhere, on shelves, at concerts, in the hands of athletes, gamers, and adrenaline junkies. But behind the bright green logo is a story most people have never heard, because this isn't just an energy drink. It's the product of a billion-dollar machine built on hidden health risks, psychological manipulation, and some seriously unsettling symbolism. And the deeper you look, the stranger it gets. There are bans, lawsuits, wild conspiracy theories, murders, and yet somehow Monster keeps growing stronger. Why is that? What's really inside that can, and who's pulling the strings behind the scenes? This is the story they don't want you to see. Chapter 1: The Rise of Monster. Monster Energy didn't start out like the others. It wasn't born in a corporate boardroom or some clean-cut soda lab. Before it was Monster, it was fruit juice. Back in the 1930s, a man named Hubert Hansen and his sons were bottling juice in Southern California, selling it to film studios and local shops. The company was small, clean-cut, and nobody had any reason to think it would ever be anything else. Fast forward a few decades, and Hansen's Natural was struggling to stay relevant. Energy drinks were starting to blow up. Red Bull had just hit the US and was turning heads. Hansen's decided to take a wild swing at the new trend. The result was Monster Energy. But Monster didn't just show up and politely ask for a seat at the table. It kicked the door in. The can was huge. The logo looked like it belonged on the side of a dirt bike, and the flavor packed a punch. It tasted like rebellion, like something your mom wouldn't want you drinking. The strangest part? It worked. Practically overnight, Monster was everywhere. Motocross events, MMA fights, underground raves. It didn't bother with grocery store moms or health-conscious millennials. It went straight for the outsiders, the adrenaline junkies, the kids with dirt under their nails and something to prove. By 2012, the rise was so fast, the company behind it dumped the Hansen's Natural name completely and became Monster Beverage Corporation. The old juice brand was dead. This wasn't a health drink company anymore. It was an energy drink empire. In just a few years, Monster went from a complete unknown to one of the fastest growing drinks in America. But here's where it gets interesting. Because if you follow the money behind that incredible rise, you start finding connections that don't quite line up. Unusual partnerships, quietly signed deals, and a marketing strategy so bold it broke just about every rule in the book. We'll come back to that when we dive into Monster's shocking marketing methods. But for now, remember this. Monster didn't become a billion-dollar empire by accident, and its rise wasn't as clean as it looks. Chapter 2: What's really inside a can of Monster. For a drink so famous, hardly anyone knows what's actually in a Monster energy drink. Sure, people joke about the buzz that energy drinks give you, but the real list of ingredients is a lot more unsettling than most people realize. Let's start with the obvious: caffeine. A single can of Monster contains about 160 milligrams of it. That's the equivalent of 4 cans of Coke in one hit. Enough to jolt your nervous system, raise your heart rate, and trigger anxiety in people sensitive to it. And while energy drink companies like to compare it to coffee, there's a massive difference. You don't usually slam down a cup of coffee in 2 minutes before a workout, a drive, or an exam. But caffeine isn't even the most dangerous ingredient. Monster energy drinks are stacked with taurine, an amino acid naturally found in the human body. Normally, you'd produce around 40 to 400 milligrams of it a day. Monster puts 1,000 milligrams in a single can. No one's quite sure what consuming that much taurine does when it's combined with high doses of caffeine. Some studies suggest it can amplify the stimulant effects, while others link it to increased blood pressure and heart strain. Then there's guarana. It sounds harmless, maybe even healthy. In reality, it's a plant extract from the Amazon loaded with its own natural caffeine, which means the stated caffeine amount on the label isn't the whole story. Guarana quietly adds more caffeine to the mix, giving the drink a far bigger kick than most people expect. And then, of course, there's the sugar. Depending on the flavor, a regular can of Monster carries around 50 to 55 grams of sugar. To put that in perspective, that's more than double what health experts recommend you consume in an entire day. Flood your bloodstream with that much sugar, and your body reacts fast. A sharp spike in blood sugar, a surge of insulin, followed by a rapid crash. Do that repeatedly, and you're increasing your risk of type 2 diabetes, weight gain, and heart disease. But the immediate effects are just as alarming. Energy drinks have been linked to heart palpitations, insomnia, anxiety, headaches, and in some cases, sudden cardiac events. There are documented cases of teenagers, athletes, and adults collapsing, and worse, after consuming multiple cans in a short time. We can't show the worst cases here, as it could risk the existence of our channel. But know this, Monster has killed. If you want to see full, unfiltered information about the death cases, documents, and footage, click the first link in the description to join our community and watch the exclusive video. These hidden stories will break your heart and change the way you think about energy. Drink companies like Monster forever. Now, Monster does print warning labels. Not recommended for children, pregnant or breastfeeding women, or people sensitive to caffeine. But they're small, easy to miss, and most people don't read them. In some countries, energy drinks like Monster are outright banned for minors. In the US, you can buy one at a gas station without a second glance. Which raises a question. If this stuff is toxic enough to make entire governments restrict it, why is it still treated like an ordinary soft drink? And if the ingredients alone can cause this much damage, what else has the company been hiding behind the brand? We'll get to that, because the real story isn't just what's in the can. It's how Monster convinced millions of people to drink it anyway. Chapter 3: How Monster Got Inside Your Head. By now you know what's inside a can of Monster, but the real story isn't in the ingredients, it's in the way they sell it to you. See, Monster isn't just an energy drink. It's a carefully engineered brand designed to tap into your brain's deepest instincts. And they've been doing it for years, right in front of you. Let's start with the obvious, the cool factor. From the very beginning, Monster attached itself to things that scream rebellion: motocross, MMA, snowboarding, skateboarding, heavy metal, tattoos. Not the polished, corporate-friendly marketing, the dangerous, chaotic, adrenaline-fueled side of youth culture. If it was risky, loud, or anti-authority, Monster wanted its logo on it. Color psychology played its part too. Black and neon green weren't random choices. Black signals mystery, danger, and power. Green triggers energy, vitality, and urgency. Together, they create a primal visual hit that stands out on a shelf like a warning sign you're weirdly drawn to. And did you ever notice how the can's claw mark logo looks almost demonic? We'll come to that later, because the conspiracy theories behind Monster's branding are so insane, they might just have some truth to it. But Monster's business strategy has always been deeper than their visuals. They mastered social identity marketing. The target has always been clear: teenagers, young men, gamers, amateur athletes. These are people chasing strength, status, or belonging, but maybe not getting it in real life. Monster speaks directly to those insecurities. Not enough confidence? Not strong enough? Not respected? Drink this. Be dangerous. Be different. For a teenager or a young guy trying to figure out who they are, these worlds offer an identity. And Monster didn't just run a few cool ads to target them. It became part of them. Helmets, cars, guitars, and gaming tournaments. The message was clear: drink this and you're one of us. Monster also introduced limited edition drops, special collabs, exclusive cans that you can only get at certain events. It's textbook FOMO, creating scarcity and making fans feel like insiders. If you have the newest Monster flavor, you're part of the club. Miss out and you're just another outsider. Product placement was another weapon. Monster showed up everywhere the target audience already was. YouTube gaming channels, action sports videos, UFC fights, Twitch streams. No boring commercials, just background dominance. So even if you never consciously thought about it, your brain was connecting Monster to excitement, danger, and dominance. Then there's neuromarketing. The strategy isn't about the drink's taste or benefits. It's about linking it to feelings of risk, youth, and rebellion. When Monster sponsors death-defying stunts or high-speed races, your brain starts associating the drink with adrenaline and power. Drink this, and you might feel a little closer to that life. But they never talk about the hidden costs. Remember those heart palpitations and insomnia we mentioned earlier? These psychological tactics they use in their marketing is how they convince you to ignore the risks. Because if your idols, your favorite YouTubers, or your gaming crew are downing these cans like trophies, you won't think twice. The risk becomes part of the appeal. By the time you realize you've been marketed to, you're already hooked. Not on the drink, but on what it represents. And here's the real question. If they've gone this far just to sell you a soda, what else are they hiding? Chapter 4. The Symbols You Were Never Meant to See. By now, Monster's rise makes sense. The branding, the tactics, the targeting. But what if there's more going on beneath the surface? What if this isn't just a marketing playbook, but a coded message hiding in plain sight? Let's start with the logo. 3 jagged lines clawed down the can. It's meant to look like a monster scratch. But here's where things get strange. And there's more. Check the can again. The O in Monster has a faint cross embedded in it. Is this all just a coincidence? Maybe. But when this theory started spreading online, Monster didn't rush to deny it. In fact, they leaned harder into controversy, sponsoring louder, riskier, more violent events. Monster has been relentlessly targeting vulnerable people with dark psychological marketing tactics. And even when children have lost their lives to these drinks, they found a way to silence families. But we've taken a massive, risky step to expose Monster. We've created exclusive content with claims that most people are, understandably, too scared to make. But somebody needs to speak up about the skeletons that these billion-dollar corporations are hiding in their closets. Click the first link in the description to join our community and watch the video. Not only will you get the full story that nobody's telling you about Monster, but you'll also receive access to more weekly untold cases, the latest crime news, and the chance to become part of a community that is committed to knowing and sharing the truth. It's time to stop allowing companies and entities to brainwash us into giving them our money, and even our lives. Speaking of the truth, Monster's early ads hinted at dark symbolism too. Flashing symbols, phrases like "unleash the beast" over images of chaos and destruction. It wasn't about energy, it was about submission to something darker, something primal. It could all just be random. But the patterns are there, the symbolism, the numbers, the messages hiding in plain sight, the no-shame obsession with violence and darkness. And here's the thing about symbols. Their power doesn't depend on whether you believe in them. It depends on how often you see them. And you've seen this one more times than you think. When a harmless drink starts looking like a warning sign, you have to ask yourself, what else have we missed?